Hi guys, so on question time on Thursday night, the audience was quickly polled via show of hands if they have benefited in any way from Brexit. There was a long silence, which was eventually broken by a guy who most certainly isn't a Tory party councillor. He volunteered a response which contained words. Now, I'm not sure these words were put together in a way that would convey a message, but they were words. So a Brexit benefit is something to do with cost and sovereignty, I think. Perhaps you can decipher what this man is saying better than I can.
Who here is seeing the benefits of Brexit? Well, okay, so none of you, nobody, no one has put the... Yes, go on, there's one hand up, let's hear from you.
I would say independence from like outside non-sovereignty, like what the EU stands for is making laws for the states that are a part of it, rather than the states making the decisions and the laws for themselves. It gives us sovereignty being away from that instead, and if being in a longer queue is just something as is a cost. I'd rather that.
You'd rather that's the price you'd rather pay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I'm still not sure what he meant by independence from outside non-sovereignty. I think what he means is the UK is now no longer a member of the European Union, so it has its sovereignty back. Although Parliament said that the UK was always sovereign, so I'm not sure what that's about. But also, do you have to leave the United Nations to gain your sovereignty as well? Are you also claiming that countries like France, Germany, Italy, Ireland are not sovereign because they're members of the European Union? You notice they never raised that argument. Ireland is not a sovereign country because it's part of the European Union. They won't say that. They say the UK wasn't sovereign when it was part of the European Union, but it won't mention other states for some reason. Now, he also said that the EU makes laws for the states, which are part of it. Well, that's correct. But it's a combined work. It's not the EU making a decision and then imposing it on member states. It's member states sending parliamentarians to the European Parliament and them voting on issues that have been brought to them by the commissioners. So this is part of the problem when we talk about Brexit, is this idea that when the UK was a member, it was almost a sort of an appendix. That's the idea that many people had of the UK as a member of the European Union. It was in, but it wasn't really in. And it had all these laws that were made up in Brussels, forced upon Britain. Instead of actually the honesty of this would have been explaining to the public that actually we send people to Brussels and they are part of the decision-making process. But unfortunately, that wasn't sold to people. And then he said he preferred the states making the laws themselves. Well, what laws can you point to that you're happy to see gone now that the UK is no longer a member of the European Union? I think he'd have a problem coming up with even one of those. And then he mentioned something about queues. Well, it's a small cost to pay. Well, point that out to, for example, Kieran the van driver, who tries to cross the border between France and Britain on an almost daily basis and sometimes a number of times a day, and the struggles that he has to deal with, not just about queuing, but about paperwork and the cost related to getting in and out of the single market with his goods. We've seen businesses close down because they can't sell into the single market. And now we're seeing problems with goods coming in from the European Union, coming in from the single market into Great Britain, because the checks are not being carried out, and there are risks to public health, and there are risks to British agriculture. So on the one side, you're saying, well, there's a bit of a queue that people have inflicted upon them, but that's a small cost to pay for all the other stuff. What other stuff? Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.